Hey there, everyone. Good evening. Okay, so I want to start back from last week when we were going over the compound effect. Do you remember how we talked about habits and behaviors, like daily habits and behaviors? Well, that's where we're going to start from. Remember how we said that we create positive change in our life one little tiny step at a time by doing those daily, unsexy, unexciting, boring habits, little habits day in and day out. Well, it's not really different when it comes to self-esteem. I gotta tell you that self-esteem is created. Most people don't show up in the world full of self-esteem, and actually they probably did when they were babies, but then along the way, they created a different story about themselves and their lives, and they started taking information from them around the world and creating a new story about who they are, and they lose their confidence and their esteem. Now, in order to have success in your life, you have to have self-esteem. So let's talk about what that looks like and how we create that. Start with what we're built from. So we're built from our thoughts, our beliefs, our habits, our behaviors, our routines, and what we value. That creates our identity. They form you. These are all malleable though. You can change them. They're not set in stone, but the problem is we think that's what we think or that's the way we behave, and we just go with it. We don't spend any time thinking about it, analyzing it, looking at it, and deciding if it's serving us or not. And the problem is most of us live in a place where we have negative thoughts, we have bad beliefs, we have habits, behaviors, and routines that don't serve us, and they're not taking us where we want to go. And we don't know what we value. Now, if we know what we value and what's important to us, everything else falls into place. So when we are living in those negative thoughts, bad beliefs, bad habits and behaviors and routines, they create for us fear, anxiety, depression, doubt, shame, guilt, and even self-pity. And we become addicted to these feelings. Now, hold on, let me say that again. We become addicted to these negative thoughts and feelings. It just starts this loop, and we can't ever seem to get out of it. And the more we do it, the more negative we become, and we literally become addicted to it. You know how sometimes you say, oh, that person's living in drama? Well, unknowingly, they're addicted to the drama. And we let these feelings control us. And the first thing I want you guys to realize is that feelings do not have to control you. You get to control your feelings. But people just think or feel something and they just run with that. So, first thing we have to do, well, we have to become very self-aware. We have to start listening to what we're thinking, and we have to start observing our behaviors, and we have to look around. Most of us know we're probably not happy, and we probably know that we're not confident, we're not getting what we want out of our life. But we have to go a step further and really get very, very clear on exactly what it is we want to create. And it's really who we want to be, because it's who we want to be that's going to create the life that we want. So we have to look and say, with knowing exactly what you want, and we have to go, what skill do I need? What belief do I need? What trait do I need? What ability do I need? What of those things do I need in order to become the person, hey Michelle, in order to become the person that I want to be, that's going to create the life that I want. It's not look at the goal, I want that goal. It's like, who do I have to become to reach that goal? Does that make sense? And once you get very clear on who you need to be, what traits you need to create, what beliefs, what skills, what abilities, then you can look at your life and be very clear on whether or not you have those things. And if you don't, you have to create those daily, unsexy, unexciting, boring habits that are going to create you into becoming the person that you want. Now, let me tell you, one of the biggest things to self-esteem is doing what you say you're going to do. If you keep your promise to yourself, you're the most important person to keep a promise to. So every time you say, I'm going to start my diet on Monday, and Monday comes and you don't do it, you've chipped away at your self-confidence and your self-esteem. Just a little bit. That's why I said last week, or over the last few times we've talked, to start with little tiny goals and accomplish them, because then you're creating a dopamine reward loop by saying, I'm going to do this, and then I do this, and now I get a little dopamine hit, and then you do it again and you get that hit, and you do it again, and what happens is you create this loop of positive effect. It's literally a positive chemical reaction that takes place in your brain, and now you couldn't not do it if you wanted to, because now you're addicted to the positive feedback loop instead of that negative feelings and emotions that you've been addicted to. So it's literally you keeping your word to yourself. You set a habit, a small little habit, a daily behavior, and you do it consistently. Start with something small and grow it. You don't have to be at a 15-minute walk forever, but start there and do it consistently without fail. So let's go a little bit deeper into this. So what skills do I need? What do I need to believe? What traits do I need to change or create? And what ability do I need to hone? Okay? Now, I said at the beginning, you must have self-esteem to be successful. So you have to do this if you want to create what you want in your life. And it's really not that hard once you kind of understand the principles around it. Most people build a self-esteem around things that they really can't control, like they want to be the smartest, or they want to be right, or they want to be good, or they want to be worthy. And I hate to tell you guys, but you're not always going to be the smartest person in the room, and you are not always going to be right, and you're not always going to be the best, and you're not always going to be good at everything or something. And worthiness is actually based on what you believe about yourself because of what you do. What you believe about yourself because of what you do. Because of what you think, what you believe turns into what you do, and what you do, keeping that word to yourself and creating that positive dopamine little dip, or not dip, a little punch, and that loop is what creates that esteem. Starting and finishing what you say you're gonna do. So, also, you can decide what you value. So if you can, instead of valuing being smart, you can value being the person who figures it out, who gets the answers. I've always said I can learn to do anything. Like I can learn it. Like I know that I may not have a natural skill in one area, and maybe I need to focus on things I'm naturally skilled at, but I can learn to do anything. So that's what I value. I value learning to do anything, figuring it out, getting the answers. I also value consistent work ethic. I value overcoming difficulties in my life and succeeding at them. Those are all things that you can value, and they're based on your behaviors and what you can control. Those daily little unsexy, unexciting, boring little habits. Does that make sense to you guys? I'm gonna say it again. You don't have to let how you feel control you. You do not have to let your emotions run off with you. Instead, what you want to do is create a different loop around those. So you're never going to get rid of your negative emotions altogether. But what you can do is start paying attention and noticing them, and then creating a different feedback loop. So when you go into something negative, say, nope, I'm not going to think like that anymore. Instead, I'm going to be grateful for the amazing, wonderful, beautiful husband that I have, who loves and cherishes me so much. Or your children, your grandchildren, like whatever you love, whatever you're grateful for in your life, make it turn those negatives into gratitude and what you're happy about. So let's see. Look at what you want, decide what you need to do or stop doing. Okay, so if you don't know what you like or don't like, whether it be the kind of relationship you want or the kind of food you like, if you don't identify what you don't like. So one of the best places to start is actually looking at your life and saying, oh, like that's not serving me, I don't like that. But if I did this, which would be the opposite of that, then that would change for me, because I would like, I lost eyes. Hi, Diana, I saw you come on, I lost my train of thought. Then you could pick what you wanted to do instead of what you didn't want to do, right? Then when you decide to do something, actually do it. Keep your word to yourself. We've talked about this already. And let's go a little further down here. Create that positive feedback loop. Okay, so remember I said I value that I can learn anything. That's one of my value systems. So instead of quitting, I'm going to figure it out. I put a work plan together. I keep doing those little things every single day. Now I can feel proud about myself because I'm doing what I said I would do. Now I have congruence. So let me see if I can explain this a little bit better. Well, I think I've done it really, so I value the fact that I can learn how to do anything. So I'm looking at something and I say, okay, I want to learn how to do this. And then I go and figure out who can help me or what can help me, and I learn how to do it, and then I put it into action, and I keep doing it over and over again, and then every time I do it, I become more confident, and now I have congruency. It could be, I decided I want to improve myself, so I value self-improvement. So I value self-improvement. I tell you that I value self-improvement. Now I go read a book that helps me learn about self-improvement. Now I'm congruent. Now I feel good about what I've done because I'm in that positive feedback loop where I've decided what I value, I'm doing what I value, now I feel good about myself. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, because this is really cool if you can kind of get this. So let me give you some more examples. The other thing you want to do is make rules for yourself. And I think the most important rule that I can get you guys to start making today is to stop beating yourself up. Stop diminishing yourself. Spend zero time, no time at all, ever, sitting in self-pity, beating yourself up, berating yourself, or diminishing yourself in any way, shape, or form. Again, that's where you're going to create that positive feedback loop and go to something you're grateful for instead. But it doesn't serve you. You can't get anywhere if you're in that space. So you're gonna have to let that space go and focus on what you're grateful for, because your brain can literally not hold two thoughts at the same time. So you can choose to let that thought, push that thought aside, say, that doesn't serve me, I'm not doing that anymore, and I'm going to focus on what I'm grateful for. And the more you do this, the better you get at it. It's a practice. This isn't something that you just say, I'm not gonna be negative anymore, and you're not. It's something you literally have to be conscious of and keep practicing. It's like any habit. Remember we talked about breaking habits, like when you give up a Coke and at first you think about it all the time. Well, at first you're gonna notice that you're negative all the time. And it's only through being observant, saying no, I'm gonna think this instead, and doing it over and over again, that you'll notice further and further spaces go between those times that you're negative. And you're always gonna bump up against yourself. You're gonna, Gay Hendricks calls it your upper limiters. You're always gonna bump into yourself, and you're gonna always hit another level where you want to sabotage or not do what you're doing because you don't wanna hit up against that level. But every time you do, you get to choose to make some new rules, to create some new congruency, to decide what you value and move forward. All right, so let's see. Use it to create the positive feedback. Use it as time to be grateful. Another thought I think that goes with this is, have you guys ever been in a place where you've got a decision to make, or you're just not happy with something in your life and you feel paralyzed, but the moment you make one decision or one step in the positive or direction that you want to go, just one thing, it can be a thought, it can be an action, it doesn't have to be a big one, but as soon as you do that, all of a sudden you have hope again. All of a sudden you feel happy again because you're taking that action. It's exactly the same thing here. You're taking that action and it opens up that space of being able to be happy and hopeful for your future again. And also the other thing is, guys, don't focus on the big goal that's way out there. Focus on the daily behaviors and habits that you can do. If you just look at the next right thing and be right here in the present, doing what you know you need to do to create that big goal, going back to the thing that we said in the very, very beginning, which is your thoughts, your beliefs, your habits, your behaviors, and your routines, and what you value. If you focus on those things and focus on the daily behaviors and habits, create that picture of what you want it to look like to be able to get those skills and traits that you want, to create that big goal over there, then you'll get there. It'll take care of itself as long as you're doing those daily things every day. I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna wrap it up with saying, at the end of the day, you gotta know what you want, you've gotta create the plan, and you've gotta follow through. Once again, doing those daily, unsexy, unexciting behaviors and habits that are going to create the beliefs and habits and routines that are gonna create the you that you wanna be. And here's some more examples. If you, instead of saying, I don't know how to, or I'm not smart enough, or I can't do it, you could say, I can learn how to do anything, I can find the answer, I can figure it out. Instead of going, you know what, I give up, I'm a quitter, I can't do this, you can say, I finish what I start, I do what I say I'm gonna do, I don't give up. Basically, guys, just figure out what you value, figure out what traits, behaviors, and skills that you want to create the you that you want to be, that's going to create the life that you want out here. I hope that makes sense. If it does, I'd really like to hear back from you guys, some like observations or some ways that you have in the past or intend to in the future apply these ideas and principles to your life so you can create the life that you want. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed sharing it with you. Have a great evening and go create a magical life.